Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Vote Podcast, your weekly rundown where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video games. Not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us this week on the Media Boat Podcast. I'm checking my levels here. Sorry, I was getting like into the red there. I'm like, "Woo, am I loud? I might be loud." Yeah, this is July the 8th, 2025. It is episode 494, and we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're correct on the date, and you don't need to adjust your ears because we are now recording on Tuesdays.
It's true. Not that it matters to people who listen to it on the
Right.
feed,
You
but
listen when it drops, first and foremost. All right. Let's get into some. Well, let's start with the music news. Well, start with the music. Start with music with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And the
indeed.
hottest song in the land is Ordinary by Alex Warren. And then at
Still.
two, what I want is for number three, just in case there's a Morgan Wallen problem. Oh, sorry. He's the problem down at number five.
Yeah,
But right there at
he
number
is.
four is a bar song, Tipsy by Shabuzi,
Yep.
which does mean, yes, Morgan Wallen's still three in here in the top five.
Yeah, Shabuzi returns to the chart and is in a Morgan Wallen sandwich.
Gross.
Yeah, gross.
As for your album chart, your Billboard 200, well, not the number one we were hoping for because Problem himself does not want to go away, which does mean that coming in at two and debuting at number two is Virgin by Lord.
Yes.
We will talk about that in a hot second here.
Yeah, I'm assuming we both listened to that.
Yes.
Okay.
At three, we have K-pop Demon Hunters, the soundtrack by various artists, many of favorite various artists.
Ha ha ha.
Coming in at four, Beautiful Chaos by Cat's Eye. And rounding out your top five, Tropicata by Carol G. If you like any of those albums, we have new releases,
Indeed.
starting with Bright Nights by Aloe Darlin', No Sign of Weakness by Burna Boy, Let God Sort Them Out by Eclipse.
No, just clips.
Yes, there's no E, it's just Clips.
Yeah.
There's also Trouble by Gina Birch, Utopia by Guino, Moisturizer by Wet Leg,
Hmm.
and lastly, in all caps, as if screaming at you, I want my loved ones to go with me by Noah Cyrus.
Yes, the
Go
other
where?
Cyrus.
I don't know. But yes, that is the other Cyrus trying to convince family to go somewhere. That is not with Miley.
I guess not.
All right. So I assume you're going to be listening to at least one of these albums.
Yeah, I'll check out the wet leg record. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But we have some music news to get through first, and it's not great news.
What do you mean? Put on your party hats because Sean Diddy Combs has been found guilty.
Well, yeah, on part of the charges.
Well, let's see. This is where you just stop reading and be, he's found guilty. That's it. No longer need to read further.
Sadly, we do need to tell the whole story because the whole story is a little more depressing than just that sentence suggests.
All right. Found guilty on not one, but two counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Who is engaging in prostitution? Where they're doing it? Doesn't say. Does not really matter because they were found not guilty on those counts. Because he has dodged three of the most serious charges, which is the two counts of sex trafficking and one count of racketeering. So Sean Diddy Combs could face a maximum of 10 years each for the two counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. As the jury read the first not guilty verdict, gasps were heard in the courtroom. The jury delivered the verdict after a grueling 8-week trial that featured 34 witnesses testifying against the hip hop mogul and Bad Boy Records founder. Sentencing on, if it's up to the maximum charge, will take place in 3 months' time in October.
Yeah, I had to edit this Variety story a lot because for whatever reason, the story in
Mhm.
Variety talked mostly, like exclusively about the defense and made it seem like this was a victory. And I just didn't like the tone of it. So I cut all of that stuff. Because no, this is not a victory. Unfortunately, this does mean that, yeah, the stuff that would actually be way more severe crimes, Diddy evaded. So this is not a life sentence. This is just maybe up to 20 years. This is disappointing for all the victims, and everybody who testified and all the stories that have come out and probably will continue to come out. It just feels like justice was not done, here overall. That being said, it's good that he is if I was found guilty at least for something, and he'll be away for a while, if this goes through as it seems like it will. Yeah, it's just it sucks that that's what all of this led to. That all this trial, like, and all these weeks leading up to this, it just feels kind of anticlimactic, and I think a lot of people are very disappointed with the results here. But you know, celebrities, they're gonna celebrity.
Unless they're old celebrities who don't want to or can't fight back, but there's there's not a really happy twist to this. Yes, he is found guilty on 2 charges. Yes, they're the lesser of the 5 charges brought to him, but it's you can't really have transportation to engage in prostitution without really trafficking being a part of it either.
You know how in baseball games they often talk about how the challenge, you can only overturn it if you have enough like concrete evidence that you can prove it.
Yes.
And so usually calls on the field stand. That kind of comes to mind with this, right? Whereas just that as much as we would all assume that this evidence and these and the testimony, in this trial was pretty clear, unfortunately, how the court system works is that they can only really act on what's presented, and the jury just didn't, I guess, see enough concrete evidence to give that kind of verdict. We've seen this a lot, especially in celebrity cases.
Mhm.
A specific one comes to mind. So yeah, like it's just unfortunately that's just how this stuff works. I wish it was better, and I wish nothing but like just love and empathy to all the victims that went ahead and told their stories here, because that's really who we should be focusing on here.
Right, because at what point in the 34 witnesses testifying against him do you think, you know what? I think I need at least one more to
Right.
truly provide a guilty verdict.
I mean, but the thing is that's what they want. They want a jury that sees it very like
Hmm.
concrete and is not emotionally attached. That's what they're looking for, and that's what you're expected to do as a part of a jury like this. And so, yeah, they got what they wanted, and yeah, I don't know. It just sucks. Just sucks.
Right, and we'll have to wait till October for a Halloween surprise of how long we'll see Diddy gone for,
Yeah, I guess
if
so.
he's gone for.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about some music then.
Yes.
So we got 2 albums, both one name title albums by one name artists.
Yeah, weird how that happened this week. One is actually from last week, because we did not record after Thursday last week.
Hmm.
And then one was a surprise, well, not a surprise release, was a random ass release on July 4th, when nothing else came out. So, yeah, but you're right. And both are kind of artists that, one that we haven't heard from in a while, and the other that recently got a new record deal. And these two records could not be any more different from each other, let me tell you, after having listened to them both. So you listened to one of these at least. Did you listen to the other?
No, I listened
Okay.
to one of them. I did listen to one that's not listed here. Okay, I tried to listen to the new Lizzo record
Why?
because it's Lizzo. I got about 10 seconds in because she was just yelling at me, and I was like, okay,
Oh.
nope, sorry, can't have this song.
Well, in that case, that's a perfect segue into, well, maybe you don't like people yelling at you, but maybe you like people delving into their deepest, like, sexual secrets and talking about their bodies and being just very, I don't know, very honest and kind of, um, I don't know how to describe it further, but, yeah, so Lord, put out a record called Virgin, this past week. This is her first record since Solar Power, which we talked about on this podcast a handful of years ago, which was kind of disappointment for us and for the general public, I think. We didn't really get it. The critics didn't really get it. Fans maybe were divided. Some people swear by it, but it seemed like generally speaking, more people were like, hey, we liked melodrama. Where's that? We're also on the record for really liking melodrama here at the Media Boat Podcast. But Virgin as a comeback is very an interesting move from Lord because here she is basically saying, "Yeah, all that stuff from Solar Power, I'm just gonna throw that out the window. It didn't work for her apparently either, and she's just gonna go into full honest confession mode and a very different kind than the one in Melodrama. Instead of reflecting on who she was, like past friendships, past parties, past lives. Virgin seems really about who she is and who she's becoming. It's a very in the moment record and is a very exploratory record when it comes to Lord's humanity, Lord's sexuality, Lord's just whole vibe right now as we stand in 2025. How, I'm curious. What did you think of Virgin? Because I have my thoughts, but I want to get your take.
So last time we recorded, you had your thoughts about the singles that Lord had already
Hmm.
released, that they weren't up to your standards, that they weren't like quite what she'd already done prior,
Uh,
and you
what
weren't
I
as excited for the record.
Yeah, what I'll say is that they're probably good songs, but I just didn't personally like to listen to them. Is I guess the way I would put it. I
Hmm.
can admit that they're well produced, and I'm sure they do the thing that she wants it to do. They just weren't working for me. Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So coming from those opinions, and from listening to the Miley Cyrus record,
Yeah.
this is very different, but also in a more chill, more vibey way than that Miley Cyrus record, which was I mean, when it came out, it was touted as like this is gonna be the album of the summer. This is what Miley wants to create. This is her gonna be her voice. And we both thought it was really like weird and out there, and like she was already done this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Same thing I hear for Lord, but at least she didn't try and hype this thing up as that sound of the summer as
No, no,
much.
it's
So
not that kind of record. No, this is
right.
very much a smaller thing.
Yeah, but then why release it on July 4th? Because she's Australian. And it's just a date
But
to her.
you're all over the map. Hold on. This is not released on July 4th, and she's not Australian. She's from New Zealand. Get it right.
Oh, that's right. Yes, gotta sorry. Cross the Kiwi pond there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got Australia on the brain for other reasons.
I mean, I get it. Um, so how'd you like those songs in the album itself? Do you think that it all meshed together? What do you like here? What do you not like? Like, what are your feelings?
I thought it was a relatively solid album. I thought it was relatively good going through and through. There was nothing really that stood out to me, be like, oh, that's the single, or that's
Hmm.
the one that's going to get the play. But from a concept of front to back, or at least front to middle, because I kind of like trailed off on my own at the end there, I thought it was really good. Like I think like the first like four songs were pretty solid. After that, it does start to feel really repetitive in what she's saying, what she's going for. And that's where it kind of lost me though.
Yeah, yeah. I felt similarly is what I will say. This thing just wasn't for me. I think that the singles were actually a really good bellwether for how I feel about this record. I think it's really well made. I really like a lot of the production choices
Mhm.
on it. I like how adventurous she is being. I like how much freedom she has to make the music that she wants. I like how this is also kind of exists in a post-Brat era, where we are getting these pop records that are very exploratory in both sound and in content. What I will say is that sometimes it felt a little, not exactly like try hardy, but sometimes I had the feel that was like, all right, we're getting a little too specific with some of this stuff. And do we really need to know all of this stuff, Lord? Like, do you really like a little too much information kind of vibe? And here's the thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be confessional about your sex life, your sex history, about that kind of thing in your music. I listen to a lot of music where written by people who are very like just out in the open about that kind of thing. However, I think there are genres in which that feels normal, and I think that there's a lot of music where that just feels like, oh yeah, yeah, this is just who this person is. From Lord, it feels a little weird for me, and I think it's because one, a lot of the other stuff that I've listened to makes this seem kind of tame in comparison, and two, like almost like kind of behind the times, like almost trend chasing a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I get that, I get someone like Lord is on a tier of celebrity and tier of pop star that is higher than a lot of those people. And a lot of normal people probably haven't heard music that talks about, for example, gender dysphoria before. That's probably new for a lot of people. You know, it's actually interesting, especially considering that a lot of people are like blown away by Chapel Roan just because of how explicit she is about herself being a lesbian. And so Lord is doubling down on even that and being like, well, what about we talked about like this almost this borderline bisexual not bisexuality like non-binary feelings that she's having. They're like it's probably very novel for people who are outside of the alternative music scene, but for somebody who's coming in being like, well, I listen to non-binary artists all the time and there's a lot of music that I've listened to that deals with body dysmorphia and talks about the honest, like, and even the trans experience. And so it's very interesting to see this very mainstream piece of art tackle a lot of this. So I admire it, but at the same time, it just doesn't do the same thing for me that I think a lot of people have had reactions for. Everybody's out there being like, "Oh wow, she's so brave and that she's doing all this crazy experimental stuff." I'm like, "Okay, sure, I guess." For mainstream pop music maybe. So that was kind of in my mind the whole time. And then also going back to what you were saying, I just didn't think the music itself was interesting enough to kind of balance that stuff out. I
Mhm.
thought there were moments that were really cool. Some production choices that I liked. I think as a whole, it makes the singles sound better. And I think as a piece, as an entire album, I do respect a lot of the choices made. But it's just like the thing about melodrama is I related to it. The thing that worked the most for me about that record was because it felt like a more universal theme of this is the kind of feeling you get, even if you're not exactly doing what is described in her lyrics. The feeling of being in your early 20s and going to house parties and going to clubs and feeling and having friends and having relationships go in and go out. That was all extremely relatable for me, especially at the time I listened to it, and it really clicked at the right time. This unrelatable, almost back to front. Like, because now she's speaking from a lot of her lyrics are now about like, well, I'm talking like she's talking to about famous people, about things that famous people do, about opportunities that not everybody is going to have if you're not Lord. And so that threw me off a little bit, where it's just like, okay, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if this written for someone like me. And so yeah, by the end of it, it's just she just lost me in so much of it that I couldn't turn off all of those things in my brain and just enjoy it as music. I was taking a lot of baggage into it and I just yeah, it just didn't work for me. But everybody else seems to love it. And you know what? Cool. I'm glad. I'm glad. But as we say here, sometimes it's not for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you're just hard to engage with artists in what they're trying to say. I think
Hmm.
that's also like where you're tiptoeing the line there is that a lot of this felt very passive to you and like to me as well, that you couldn't engage with, so you couldn't like get into the album as much as like we did with Melodrama, where we were engaged in every song.
Hmm.
It did speak more to us in that time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that she made the thing she wants to make, just like what you said
Mhm.
about Miley Cyrus. I think that it's cool that we're in an era now where you get to a certain point of celebrity and then you can just kind of do the music you want to create. Lord's there, Taylor's there, Miley's there, and I guess now. And we'll talk about it in a second, but Kesha finally made it. But yeah, so yeah.
I mean, you can just segue right into it.
I guess if you want. So yeah, the other thing that I listened to, and I'll be really brief here because I know we got to keep going. So yeah, Kesha released her new record, Period, which is notable because it is her first album completely outside of her previous record deal. So she no longer is involved in any sort of business with Dr. Luke or Dr. Luke's record label. This is her first independent release, just released by herself. And so she's kind of made a big deal about it. She's been out there in the public again. She's been making music videos. She's been on tour. She's been trying to she's been teaming up with like other artists to do like duets. She's out there being herself finally with the career that she's obsessively always wanted, completely on her terms. So, as you imagine, the record is going to feel like that. And I'm happy to report that it 100% does. So the last thing she did, you might remember, I didn't really love. It was kind of an experimental record. It was very noisy. It was kind of, I got a lot of like Nine Inch Nails kind of vibes off of it. She
You're
was
talking
definitely
about
trying something,
gag order, right?
yeah, gag order. She was very trying something very, very different and obviously acting from a place of, I can't like still being trapped. And a lot of that music was very depressing, very slow, very electronic. It didn't really get me, and I didn't really get it. It was just like not jiving with it. For an artist that was, made her name by making party music, it was kind of disappointing in a way that she was feeling that way, and reasonably so, as we've talked about on this podcast before. But yeah, but like it was just so disappointing as a Kesha record, and also just as a record for me. Well, I'm again, like I said, happy to report. Not the case with Period. To me, Period is the comeback record she needs. This is my favorite Kesha record since Rainbow. Her last time that she made a big comeback record.
Mhm.
I think this is great. I think this is one of the better pop records of the year. I'm going to say it right now. It's a fun ass time. Party mode Kesha is back. A lot of these songs are reminiscent of the kind of music that she was making in the 2010s, except now there is kind of an air of extra layers to it. Like the production is more experimental. I think Gag Order is a record that had to happen because it really expanded her musical palette a little bit and got her to work with um, producers that I can think gave her a lot of really good ideas and like got her thinking about different kinds of pop music she could make. Um, I think thematically it's very cool because again, this is a lot of she's exploring a lot of themes about her recent freedom. There's a recurring theme throughout the record of she's prioritizing herself. It is very much centered on her doing what she wants to do when she wants to do it with the people she wants to do it with and just giving herself compliments, hyping herself up. Not too dissimilar to something Lizzo has done, but Kesha, for some reason, and this might just be because she's Kesha, is able to pull it off without ever sounding like conceited, without sounding egotistical. She just seems super charming in this mode, which is cool. And the whole time, honestly, I was more inspired by the vibe than I was annoyed at it. Maybe somewhere, someone out there will be annoyed with how much Kesha talks about herself on this record, but I am not that person. I was just there right next to her, being like, you know what? Hell yeah, girl! Like you've earned this in a lot of ways. You've earned this celebration. This feels like a celebration. There's a lot of real great catchy stuff on here. 100% recommend it. The deluxe version, which is called period dot dot dot, which has three dots on the
Hmm.
cover instead of just the one. Its second half is basically just guest spots and remixes of the first half. You don't need to listen to it. However, I will say, if you want to hear an absolutely on fire T-Pain, he's on one of the remixes of one of the songs. So yeah, this is kind of the vibe you're getting into. But all that said, it's not doesn't ever feel like a vapid pop record either. It I think it's way better. She's taking the DNA of the stuff that she used to do, stripping the Dr. Luke out of it, and making it smarter. There's a lot of really funny, smart lyrics on this thing that I was giggling at. I was did the thing that I rarely do, which is I was listening to it on my phone, and then when there was a funny line, I would pick up Apple Music and I would hit the lyrics button and scroll back to see what it was, so I could see exactly what she said. And I was like, oh yeah, that one's really good. I did that a handful of times while listening to this, and this is a pop record, not Taylor Swift, so it gives you kind of an idea of the kind of level she's working on. I've always known she was a better songwriter than I think a lot of people give her credit for. Hopefully, this will remind a lot of people that that's the case. So yeah, I am all for period. I think it's a great pop record, and I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than I enjoyed Lord.
So, should we expect to see this as an end of the year list contender?
Maybe it's really a hectic year for me. I've listened to already almost 200 records, so
What? It's only been like 6 months.
I know. I just had to put together annual summer playlist. It ended up being the longest one I've ever done. It ended up being 2 hours long. One of those years. But yeah.
All right, but I'm glad that you liked this record. Like we always say, mileage may vary
Hmm.
depending on which way
Hmm.
you land with Kesha and with her topics. But it's glad to hear that you enjoy this, and I think other people will as well.
Yeah, check it out. I recommend you check it out.
All right,
It's a fun dance party record.
all right, I'll put it on my list along with like the five other ones you've told
I
me
know.
to listen to. All right, let's move right along here into video games, where we start
Yes.
with new releases, including Pata, 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 Patapon 1 and 2 replay for the PC, the PS5, and the Switch.
Yes. No longer a Sony exclusive. People who did not own a PlayStation Vita can now enjoy Patapon.
We also have Missile Command Delta for everything but the Switch 2.
But you can play it on the Switch too. It's a Switch game.
It's a Switch game. You can play it on the Switch 2. That Switch 2 exclusive. There. All right. Then we got our two big releases. And I'm sorry, your boyfriends will now no longer be able to talk to you for the rest of the summer as they're playing either one of these two games. Bye. We either have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, the best one, and 4 for everything wide release. You got it, you can play it. Or they'll be busy playing the other mm, athletic game. It's not really, oh, it's a sports game. I don't know if it
Yeah.
counts. It's a sports game.
Yeah.
EA Sports College Football 26 for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X.
Yes. Big
Uh,
releases for the dorm, a dorm near you. So you mentioned you have history with the Tony Hawk franchise. Are you gonna try out the remakes?
I did not try out 1 and 2. I might do 3 and 4, but Hot Shots Golf is coming
Hmm.
soon. So I think I'm holding off for that to play.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, the 3 and 4 bundle has my curiosity peaked more so than the college sports, just because I bought it last year.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some video game news and what is shaping up to be yet again story of the year.
Oh boy.
A fresh round of layoffs piles on. This one coming from, that's right, you guessed it, Microsoft's gaming division. Well, with the company, aka Microsoft, starting to inform employees across its business that a first round of layoff cuts have started last Wednesday, before July 4th.
Mhm.
According to the Seattle Times, Microsoft said that as much as 4%, or in a more like number you could probably process, 9,000 employees of the company's total employees across all departments, including gaming, would potentially be affected. In a message sent to all staff, Microsoft's head of gaming, Phil Spencer, stated that the cuts were designed to, quote, end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness, close quote. Because we all know having those layers of management just scuff up everything and bog down projects. So, in order to get rid of them, that's how you're going to increase agility and effectiveness by not having the guardrails in place. In the hours following the announcement, more news trickled out, including the fates of a handful of forthcoming Xbox projects. Rayers Everwild has been canceled. The game's director, Greg Mails, who had worked on Solar Jetman, Banjo Kazooie, and Conker's Bad Fur Day, would be leaving the studio.
He's been there since 1990.
Also, the Perfect Dark reboot, alongside its entire studio, the initiative, was also canceled, as well as a new MMO project from Elder Scrolls Online team ZeniMax Online Studios. You know, where they spent $73 billion acquiring ZeniMax. The move brings into question just how dedicated Microsoft is in supporting Xbox game studios moving forward, especially in light of the company's heavy investment in A1. I mean, AI.
Yeah, AI. So, yeah, I actually wrote the second half of this story. Only the first half is from Variety because
Mhm.
it didn't have everything was kind of everywhere, and I wanted to put it into one concise
Yes.
little block. But yeah, it's been a crazy week to follow all this stuff. I can't recall a more devastating week for Xbox. Like, I think that this was kind of coming, but and we are familiar with Microsoft closing down studios. But to have several studios closed down and several projects, specifically games that were announced, shut down all at the same time, this is unprecedented. This is a level of layoff and reorganizing that we haven't seen from a video game company in a very long time, especially not from one of the console makers. I saw a lot of people saying in full seriousness that this reminded them a lot of when Sega got out of console development back in 2001. It has those vibes. I mean, Microsoft's, of course, not saying anything specific about the future of the Xbox brand or Xbox manufacturing. However, they don't really need to because no matter what, this kind of drastic reduction of staff will have to change how the studio goes forward. So yeah, there's a lot to get into. I know we don't have time. I could dedicate a whole podcast to talking about this, what this means, and what all that happened. I just want to say it's depressing. Obviously, we talk a lot about layoffs here, especially in the video game sphere, and it doesn't get any easier the more it happens. This was a lot of people working on very cool projects. Seems like all of these projects were at least on the way to being something interesting. Everwild seemed like interesting, but I don't know if there was ever a game there. Perfect Dark, there seemed like there was finally a game there when they showed it in 2024. It was looked like something had happened and that it was coming together. Now it's just done. And from what internal reviews said that the MMO from ZeniMax was apparently really, really cool. Phil Spencer himself saying that he really, really liked it when it was still in development, and now that's just gone. What this means for the future? Well, Xbox already has a lot of games announced that have yet to come out. Those presumably are still happening, are still going concerns. But it really makes you wonder. Like I said in the last sentence here, these cuts were largely because Microsoft, as a corporation, is betting a lot of money on AI. And that money needs to be subsidized somewhere else. You need to make cuts elsewhere if you're going to take money and put it somewhere else. And in this case, it does seem, the popular opinion here does seem to suggest that this is Microsoft putting all of their eggs in one basket. This OpenAI shit has got to work for them, and they're doing it on the backs of everything else in the company. Microsoft is not like Xbox was not profitable. It was making them money. It was growing, but it does not matter if you are a corporate like entity like Microsoft, as big as they are, they will make these severe cuts regardless of how well you do. The game industry does not care at this point because the corporations that own these companies don't care. And it just sucks that these cuts are on the backs of people, just developers making games they care about.
Well, like I mentioned, they purchased ZeniMax for $73
Yep.
billion, meaning as a company, Microsoft has more than $73 billion on hand,
Oh, easily,
well
yeah.
over that, just to purchase other properties, studios and OpenAI, respectively, for their own individual like checks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then don't forget the is it like 69 billion for Activision as well.
Yep.
That to see these two projects, mainly Everwild and Perfect Dark Reboot, which were announced when the Xbox Series X was announced,
Yes.
saying these are being in development by Rare, by the initiative. That
Mm-hmm.
saying that, like, hey, like you can expect these games if you purchase this console. And just like Scalebound, never gonna see the light of day.
Yeah. It
Never forget
really, really
Scalebound.
sucks. Yeah, never forget scale bound. Yeah, it's just wild to me. And it just, again, it makes you wonder about Microsoft as a company. What are we doing here? Are they so committed to being like a third party, everything's everywhere kind of company that they are willing to make these kinds of cuts because everything's going to be on the cloud anyways? I don't know. Like,
Probably because we have seen that chatter since they announced that the ROG ally with Microsoft was
yeah.
coming.
Yeah, but you gotta have games for that, and you have to have people that are making them. And yeah, you have some games on the dock, but there's got to be more after that. And you have to have studios to do that. I just don't, this just doesn't feel like a forward thinking move. And I don't think it was. I think this is just literally Microsoft doing what they can, cutting what they can because they can. And it has nothing to do with any plans in Xbox as a department because I'm sure this throws a giant wrench in everything that they had planned to do.
Right. It does set up Microsoft not as a publisher of games, but more of a platform for games. Let
Yeah.
everyone else take the bullet, take the
Yeah.
risk of this game working or not, and
But
we'll just
again,
host it.
But again, though, we talked about this at the end of last year,
Oh yeah, I
right?
know we did.
Which was if Microsoft is gonna do that and commit to it, and that's gonna be their whole thing, they need to communicate that because right now they're playing both sides. They're communicating, yes, we're gonna put our stuff on everything, but also let's release this like 2 minute video of Sarah Bond saying we're going to put out another Xbox and we're still working with AMD. That happened last week. That's recent. So they're trying to do both. They're trying to be like, we're going to make the biggest, like the most impressive box ever again, just like they do every time. But also, we're spreading it all out thin and we're cutting all these people. And who's going to make these boxes? Who's going to make these games? I don't know anymore. And it feels like a cycle with Microsoft. It feels like Microsoft, this like confirms for me Microsoft is a company, well, Xbox is an initiative that feels like it's been trying to catch up with itself since the Xbox 360. They can't figure it out for the life of them. Like,
I mean, they
seriously.
tried to make it the Xbox One, a one stop shop media center.
And that didn't work.
Didn't work. They
This one, they were
tried
like, oh, it's just about the games and everything's on
yeah,
PC and Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. And that's not
streaming
really
and Game
working.
Pass and streaming. And yep, now, like I said, they're throwing it into AI and companions, and
Yeah.
we'll like
Yeah.
Microsoft as a whole company in its entirety is not going to go away soon. They have too much money, too much
No,
power.
no, no, no. They're
But
banking
the
too much on
Xbox
AI to go
division,
away.
but the Xbox division
I don't know what happens with
is the
Xbox going
question
forward.
mark.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, in the meantime, hey, all the stuff I said before about Microsoft still stands. So this is an extra reason to just not deal with their shit right now. Just steer clear because they can't figure their own stuff out, apparently. So yeah, just play games on PlayStation and your Nintendo Switches. Come on. Just they're there. They're there for you.
Don't mind if I do, because I don't have an Xbox.
Exactly. All right. Let's move on unless you have anything to add there.
Nope. But I did take your advice as we get into thoughts here by not playing Diablo 4
Yes.
on from the PlayStation Plus.
But instead,
Instead, I played a game I didn't know was old. I thought it was new, but I guess it's old.
it's like a year old.
It's a 2023 release, like
Only
October 23.
2 years
So it's
old?
almost 2 years
Oh,
old.
okay.
Titled Jusant. That's right, it's a climbing game.
You did some
But from the
climbing.
developers, don't nod.
Yes.
Favorites here.
Yes.
And it's a kind of an interesting game. I was expecting a climbing game, but there's also some interesting mystique about it as you climb this mountain in what is clearly a former aquatically submerged rock formation. Because a lot of like fishing boats and stuff was like slammed up against everything. So it's like, oh, like all this should belong in the water. But I'm surrounded by a bunch of desert here. How did this get here? So there's a lot of mystery as you climb. And as you climb, a lot of it more unfolds. You get to see some of what looks like the mysterious dwellers who were there, Ryer, and kind of unfold the mystery as you climb. I the one thing that gives me like from like giving this like high praise is the actual climbing mechanic. To compare it, I'm gonna compare it to a more recent game, Astrobot,
Yes.
with the monkey climbing mechanic, and you have
Yes.
to press and release every single time. That's what you have to hear at Jusant is press and release every single time. It's not an automatic climbing, which is both good and bad because it does allow you to plant stakes within the wall and allow you to swing to other ledges, which is a really cool mechanic. But just the action of climbing up everything very manually can get a little repetitive and a little bit thrown off if you're not expecting it. Uh, that being said, if you are going to endure this climb, there's at least a fun puzzle element to it as to how do I climb this wall? I need to get over there. How do I get over there? Oh, what's this over here? There's an internal cavern over here. Let me explore it and open up more of this world. So I get to know more about this past that I have no memory of, or the game doesn't tell you it. It's not like you don't have a memory of it. Just that the game does not tell you this was what happened to allow for you to climb this rock. So it's an interesting game. I'll probably end up streaming this sometime later this week now that I've got more of my bearings on it, and you don't just see me flailing around endlessly in like this tutorial level like I did.
I mean, fair enough. How do you like the story stuff? Because I remember when people were talking about this when it came out, people were kind of divided about like, yeah, I love the climbing and it's a really fun loop, but I don't care about the story at all. How are you feeling with it?
The story beats are, I think, few and far between, which is where it can lose people. Be like, wait,
Yeah.
what was this thing? Because I played it like 2 or 3 days ago, and I don't remember what the last cutscene was. But apparently, like I was reading on some other stuff on Jusant, and like it's a game that's supposed to be like beaten and played within like 12 hours. So it's a really short game.
Okay.
I just
All right.
haven't, gotten there yet. Just still
Yeah.
scratching the surface, still trying to like make my way
Fair
up.
enough. All right, cool. We'll talk about more of that,
Yep.
maybe as you get further into it.
But you also played a game.
Yeah. Oh, this is real silly, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Um,
Okay.
it's a new season, so you know what that means. A new season, like the new season's hot gotcha game is here. The internet cannot shut up about this thing this week, so I decided to give it a spin. I'm gonna do my best job at trying to pronounce this here, so bear with me. Uma Musume is how I'm guessing how this goes. Colon Pretty Derby. As the Derby implies, this is a horse racing game. However, there is one giant twist. They're not horses. They're not horses, but they're not horses. they're horse girls. And I don't just mean girls who really like horses. I mean that like when I say cat girl, I mean that these girls are horses also. They have horse ears and horse tail, but otherwise they're anime ladies. And they're doing the racing.
I mean, the running.
Correct. There are no jockeys, obviously, because that would be weird.
Are you
Um,
sure? Are you
yeah,
sure that
I'm
would make it
positive.
weirder?
I, it's already pretty weird, but that would be weirder. I think that'd be a bridge too far. No, no, it's not weird. It's weird enough, I think, by itself. But yeah, so this is a gotcha game. It is a gotcha. Think about it this way: what if one of our favorites, Pocket Card Jockey, took the cards out? It was just a horse racing game, and it had gotcha elements in it. And that's more or less what this appears to be. I say appears to be because while I've spent about an hour with it, I didn't get a lot of actual game out of it yet. Because, as gotcha games are wont to do, they want you to get to know the world and the characters and all the crazy mechanics before you can actually get into the gameplay. And from what I understand, the gameplay here is just a lot of strategy. Unlike Pocket Card Jockey, you're not actually playing the races. At least I don't believe you are. Not in the tutorial, at least. The races happen automatically, but everything you do outside of the races will affect your abilities in them. Yeah, just like Pocket Card Jockey and presumably other Japanese horse racing games, which is probably where it got those concepts. There are skills that you're learning for these girls to either make them faster. There's different plans you can have, strategies, whether you take the lead early on, whether you hold back and take the lead near the end. It's customizable in that way where you can kind of move to like move your girl toward the strategy that you would like her to run. Um, so that all is like seems like to be the base of the game. But really, you know why people are here, which is because it's a gotcha game and you're unlocking all these different designs of horse girls. And that seems to be the hook. And the game really leans into that by having story modes where you're basically playing a visual novel, learning about the backstories and current experiences of all the horse girls. And yeah, so that seems to be pretty much evenly based, like very light kind of strategy game elements with the horse girl racing and the visual novel stuff where you're learning about the characters and you're getting carrots spelled like the carrots in a diamond, but the icon is a carrot, to then turn into spins, which in this case is, the, I don't know what it's called, but the thing that horses start in. That's your gotcha mechanic
Yes, the
is you do a
starting
roll of
gate.
10 and they turn like silver or gold or like pearlescent and then they open and it reveals the girl running towards you and you get to see what girl you got. Yeah, it's that game. It's that kind of game. It's a gotcha game. You know what this is getting into it. There's paid currencies. There are special events. It seems like there are hints at crossovers with other properties coming down the line. I saw a lot of text in the menus about guest characters. The story is silly. It is all the girls are at kind of like a training academy for horse girl racers. You are a trainer who is not seen on screen, who is tasked with bringing up these racers and having a team of these horse girl racers. So it's on mobile. It is on iOS and Android right now. But if you'd rather click, good news, it's on Steam. I'm playing the Steam version, although now I'm kind of with all the visual novel stuff. Now I'm kind of regretting not downloading it on my phone. But yeah, it's that kind of time wasting gotcha game. So know what you're getting into it. But if you think that this sounds just silly enough to try, give it a shot.
All right. In the character designs, are they more anime or are they more waifu?
Absolutely. Oh, that's a tough question because the thing about this game that I didn't anticipate is I didn't even mention one of the things. The girls are also all idols because there's a mechanic after you finish a race that the winner does a concert and you get to listen to it. And there are a bunch of original songs that are written for the game. And new certain special songs are only available for winning special races. So there's that too. It, trust me, this game knows what audience it's catering to. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it depends on the horse girl because some are there's different body types, is what I'll say. But yeah, this could be someone's waifu game. I think this is because you are getting to know these girls, and they all have different their own personality quirks. There's the girl who is obsessed with being cool, but maybe secretly has a soft side. There's the girl that's super competitive and has to be in first place the whole race. There's a girl right now in the special event that is all may also be a cyborg who is very robotic and is talks in like robot language and is dedicated on becoming a long distance runner, even though she's a sprinter. So it's that kind of like anime tropey kind of stuff where all these girls are kind of a different kind of trope and are designed accordingly. But one of the weirdest parts about it is that it implies with the beginning of the game that all these girls have individual costumes, but that's not actually the case when you unlock them for the first time. They kind of only have two. And I don't know if that's to encourage you to get specific, like 3-star versions of these girls. That's what I'm thinking of that have unique costumes. That's my guess. Because it doesn't seem like there's a pretty large um, catalog of horse girls, but it's only going to get bigger, I'm sure, as time goes on.
Oh, I'm sure, especially if you have all these gotcha elements with it.
Yeah.
And new seasons, like you said, and the guest
Yes.
characters.
Yes. So this will keep a certain kind of person busy for a while, but I have yet to really dive into the strategy of the horse racing. I don't horse girl racing. I don't know if that's going to be worth it to stick around. Kind of reminds me of our brief infatuation with World Flipper, whereas like that at least had a game. I'm not really sure if there's a game here, and so that will probably determine how much time I spend with this. Because yeah, this I still have yet to really find one that's clicked with me longer than like 3 months.
Right. I mean, like how much of it is like actually training to boost your stats, and how
Yeah,
much of it is like, say, Infinity Nikki, bigger
right.
number wins.
And I'm thinking it's one of those probably above
Right.
all.
All right. Well, while you can enjoy that on iOS and Android, if you don't have a computer to play it,
Mhm.
I've also been playing two uh hero mobile games. I'll just mention real quick because
Yeah.
one's from DC and one is from Marvel.
Yes.
So we have Marvel Mystic Mayhem and DC Worlds Collide. Both
Okay.
are hero-based, turn-based games. Both are well within their own Marvel or DC universe.
Mhm. Mhm.
DC has a little bit more cartoony look to it. Think more like Fortnite, kind of like blocky cartoony. Whereas Marvel has a bit more original character designs in it. Your mileage will vary between both of these games, both whether you like Marvel or DC, and both whether you want to, like you mentioned before with Pretty Derby, dive into the gotcha element of trying to pull for a specific hero.
Right.
They each have their own different levels and level design in order to level up. Each have their own individual currencies, which you then can purchase for additional real life dollar costs. Interesting that DC Worlds Collide is coming out now, like right in front of the upcoming Superman movie, which we'll talk about in a minute here. When DC Dark Legion also came out a couple months ago. Both are kind of similar because they're both hero games. But I think DC Legion is more of an idle game that you do your like 30 minutes and then be done with it. Whereas DC Worlds Collide is more of an active, you have to do it until your energy uses up. Same with Marvel Mystic Mayhem. You play until your energy uses up and then toss it to the side till it replenishes.
Okay. All right. That sounds like those kind of games.
They are very much those kind of games indeed.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Infinity Nikki, new season just dropped today.
Are they still girl cotting? Do you know?
There's now a dragon involved. And yes, I don't think
The
I'm
girl
not sure
caught
about the
in.
girl
Yeah.
caught just
I've been
because
trying to keep an eye on whether the girl caught has ended. Yes, but I don't
I'm not
know.
sure because the new season just dropped and
Yeah.
my feed is like, oh, like new season just dropped and there's a dragon now. So I was like, maybe they're like, okay, maybe well they weren't too serious about that.
Who knows? Anyway.
Anyways, one last thing before we get out of video game news.
Yes.
It is one of our favorite times of the year. Summer games done quick. This time, benefiting Doctors Without Borders, as they always do
Yes.
in the summer. They will cap off with a Mario Relay, as they always do. Later tonight, there will be a race in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which I am excited for. They did blueprints
I
yesterday, which
heard,
I watched
yes.
in a race, a very interesting race. It is a bingo style card
Yeah.
race, which is very fun to watch on YouTube as they try to like either both complete the game, but also like complete the bingo squares to end the game, which is always fun whenever you see these races going on right now. But yeah, they've already hit $400,000 on their way typically to make 2.5 million in donations from the sponsorships and the players and the watchers as well, all benefiting Doctors Without Borders.
Yes, indeed. I already tuned in for one run. Towards the end of it, this woman was doing Beat Saber, and she was showing off modded like crazy ass Beat Saber levels, and I was just fascinated with the shit that you could do. Also, she makes it look so easy because like they were showing like both the first person perspective and also kind of when you can see the person in the VR, and
Mhm.
like she was just going for it. I don't know how she just made that game look so insane. So yeah, like just the runners of all sorts of games just never cease to amaze me. I'm hoping we get a moment this year as good as last year's moment when that dog hit a homer in the baseball game.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a very unique one because that
It
dog was
was.
purposely invited for it.
Yes.
But there will be not one, but two different Pokemon going on
Yes.
later this run. One being a Sword and Shield race through EV evolutions, and then one being an X and Y exhibition on Friday.
Yep. Cool.
So I'm looking forward to more SGDQ, as you
Yeah.
should
More stuff.
all listening to, also be listening to
Yeah, check
and
it out. There's
watching.
always something cool
Check it out.
happening.
Yep. Always something cool, and they do it twice a year. Always fun to watch.
Hmm.
All right. Anything else with video games?
No, that's it.
Because
We gotta move on.
if not, we do need to move on. Because welcome to the biggest portion of the episode, the television section,
Yes.
where we're going to start with the sports corner. All right, let's stop over in the world of tennis because it's the championships. It's here. Wimbledon. The Wimbledon finale is this upcoming weekend. At least I believe it's this upcoming weekend, the 12th. Yeah, into next week should be.
Okay.
Um, One notable thing has already happened during Wimbledon. Novak Djokovic. He has joined only two other players, Maria Navratilova and Roger Federer, as the only players with 100 wins at Wimbledon. Those are match wins, obviously not set wins, but still 100 match wins at Wimbledon when it takes six, I think, to reach the championship. Do that over 10 years, like more like 15 years,
Yeah.
and you'll get somewhere close to 100 wins there at Wimbledon. What a sight to see. But yes, tennis. I know we just had the Roland Garros French Open, but hey, Wimbledon's here, so continue to have your tennis fix. Moving on, just a little stop over at the NFL. Training camps will be coming soon with the Chargers and the Lions, as they will report on July 16th and the 19th, respectively, because we have football this month. Believe it or not, the NFL will
Yeah.
have a game at the end of the month.
I guess so.
Yes, it's July 31st. Yes, technically it's the Hall of Fame game. Yes, technically it doesn't really count for shit. But still, it is an NFL game with NFL paid players playing in Canton, Ohio. Anyway, assuming it doesn't get rained out like it did last year. Anyways, NFL training camps are coming soon. If you're in Dynasty, get your rookie drafts going. And now's the time to get your local beat reporters' take on who's going to be the new hotness coming out of this year's draft class. Spoilers: it's not the player you're thinking because it's going to be a defensive player or a lineman. Skill players sucked this year, but you didn't hear that from me. You heard it from me. All right, let's go into the world of baseball because all-star ballots are now being tallied.
Well, yeah,
I
we know
believe
who's in,
we know
roughly.
who's in. Yeah, they're done.
Yeah.
They got announced on Sunday, and Aaron Judge, leading vote getter for the AL, will go up against Shohei Ohtani, leading vote getter for the NL.
Yeah. No surprises there.
No surprises there. I forgot to put up the starting rosters in this doc.
It's okay.
Yep. But yeah, the actual All-Star game will be next weekend. Uh
Woo!
that'd be the 14th for the Home Run Derby and the 15th for the All-Star game.
Hell yeah.
This does mean that the 16th, sorry, the day before those, on the 13th, will be draft day. Fire up your baseball, Kevin Costners, which I guess would be your field of dreams. Or is it your love of the
Something like
game?
that. One of those.
One of those will work on the 13th, as that is draft day for the MLB. And then, like I said, home run derby and the futures game will be on Monday. And then Tuesday will be All Star game proper. This will then lead into Wednesday, the 16th, where Manly Man Tears will be had as the
Yes.
ESPYs always, always, always after the All Star game. Then we have a couple of league records that occurred this past week.
Yes.
On the individual side, Clayton Kershaw, that pitcher at the Dodgers who just doesn't want to leave.
Yeah,
Well,
that guy.
he's
The
been
old
around
man.
for so long that he has thrown his 3,000th strikeout officially, only costing him Max Muncy for 6 weeks.
Yeah, but it's worth it, right?
Yes, he did take the bumper home with him, the mound bumper, and people are commenting like how huge the actual bumper is because it sinks
Yeah.
down in there and they don't know how far it
Big. It's
goes.
big.
But yeah, apparently he's only the 20th pitcher in the entire history of the MLB to throw 3,000 strikeouts, and he's only like the sixth person ever to do it for a single team. So congratulations to the future Hall of Famer himself, Clayton Kershaw. Over in a franchise record, the Boston Red Sox. Boo. Yes, the have logged their 10,000th regular season victory this past week as well. And I believe that was done before the Savannah Bananas came into Fenway and put a
Yes.
curse on the team.
Is it a reverse curse though? Because they're doing okay.
It might be a reverse curse. No, because this happened after they got the
Oh,
10,000
yeah.
after or before they came. So now they're just not going to win anymore. They hit 10,000 and they're done.
They burned it. Yeah, they burned it.
Yep, they've hit the ceiling. You can't go past it anymore.
I will mention one record that you didn't mention here is that Manny Machado hit his 2000th hit 2 days ago.
Yes, Manny Machado, the
Yeah.
other NL hated player.
And he's only 33, so he's got more in him too, which is pretty cool. So he's going to be here for a little bit longer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how long his health lasts
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Also, how long the Padres last out with him.
Yeah.
All right. And lastly, in sports news, we just had the NHL end. So why are we talking about hockey? Because they had a draft. That's why.
Yes. Ooh, it's
Just
cold in
like the
here.
NBA, after they had their championship, they had another draft. So the NHL, after the championship, they immediately have a draft. So your new number one overall pick is Matt Schaefer, defenseman to the New York Islanders. At two, Michael Misa, your center, going to the San Jose Sharks. At three, Anton Frondel, center, going to the Chicago Blackhawks. At four, Caleb Desnoyers, center, going to the newly minted Utah Mammoth. And right at your top five, Brady Martin, center, going to the Nashville Predators. Seems like a center is a very good position to have in the draft.
Yeah, turns
Unless
out.
you're the Islanders, in which case you just pick up a defender, sure. But yeah. Oh, and funny enough, at number 10 for the Anaheim Ducks, their first pick went to Roger McQueen, center, who was immediately given a Disneyland parade and has been dedicated to wear number 95 jersey because he is a McQueen. A Lightning McQueen.
Got it. Very funny. Oh, I didn't even mention one of the horse girls in Uma Musume has the surname McQueen. I just want to mention that. Sorry. Anyway,
So if I show up with her on a board that says McQueen,
yeah, someone would get
no,
it.
no confusion there, right?
Yeah, someone might think it's funny. I don't know who.
uh, well, that's it for sports. Oh, I mean, NBA had a huge
Oh,
shit ton
yeah,
of uh trades going on because of free agency this past week. So your favorite player may no longer be on your favorite team,
that's true.
except
Oh,
for LeBron because he signed
uh,
for another 2 years.
also, I think we were gone while this happened too. Also, the WNBA expanded. They're adding two more teams.
Yes. Yes, they will be adding two more teams through 2028. So
Yeah,
not immediately, but within the next 3 years.
that's pretty
No
cool.
word on one of those teams will be located at.
Okay.
Although I have seen Seattle Supersonics want to make a comeback. All
Very
right.
nice.
Yeah, that's it for sports.
All right. Well, that means we can roll into television news. Be quick on this one. This is not a big deal. In fact, I thought this had already happened, honestly. I'll be real with you. Freevee. Hey, remember Freevee? Well, it's not going to be Freevee for too long because it is getting absorbed into the Amazon Prime Video monster. They are sunsetting over at Amazon the standalone Freevee app next month as it looks to consolidate its content offerings under just one big Prime Video umbrella. Freevee launched back in 2019 out of IMDb, the TV and movie service Amazon acquired way back in 1998. The Freevee app will shut down in August, at which point users will be able to watch shows and movies on Prime Video for free without a subscription to Amazon's Prime's loyalty program, according to a notice to Freevee's users. The company is sunsetting Freevee after introducing ads on Prime Video in January 2024. Freevee was an ad supported service. It just makes more sense to bring everybody to one app instead of two if now it can serve them ads.
Right. And that's what Amazon essentially wants its Prime Video to be, which is
Yeah.
why it made all these deals with all the other app company or the other like companies to have their apps on there so they could just launch it directly from Prime Video. So that way, if you're looking for either something specific on a service or want to purchase something, you can just launch the Prime Video app and not have to like sift through which one do I go to for whichever.
Mhm.
But yes, this is just one less free streaming platform available to consumers now. I believe that leaves Pluto TV, and I'm blanking on anything else. I think it's Pluto TV now.
Pluto and the Roku channel and
I mean, do we count all those individuals like the Roku channel, the
yeah,
Samsung channel, the LG channel,
yeah, those
uh
count, I think.
the do those count?
I
I mean,
think so.
technically they count because you get them
Not
free with your
not
purchase of the TV specific.
Tubi. Tubi is another one of these.
I thought Tubi was done also.
No, Tubi aired the Super Bowl this year, remember?
Oh
They're
yeah.
not done. In fact, they were just ramping up. Anyway, we don't need to talk about this.
Anyways,
Yeah, so yeah, Freevee. No longer going to be a going concern. Just get the Prime app and you'll get all your Freevee content.
yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so let's move
All
into
right.
talking about television. I want to derail one of your plans just a tad bit. I did not finish The Bear, so we cannot talk about it in its entirety today.
How far did you get with the bear?
We are on episode 4.
That you still have a ways to go there.
Yeah, I know. We implemented a television show wheel, so our choice is random, so we don't have to stress out about it anymore. And that means that we're watching television shows a little slower these days as we start new ones on the wheel. So yeah,
Oh, come on. You don't just want to binge through a
no,
entire series,
no,
all seven of them, until you actually
it's
hate watching it, but you
it's
have to finish it
no,
because you're so
no.
dedicated that it's like, okay, I gotta finish it just so it gets off my list and say that I completed it.
I
Even if you just happen to be like, okay, I'm kind of done with this.
I especially don't want to do that with The Bear, a notoriously stressful and emotional show. So no, I don't
Yeah,
want to do that.
right. I mean, you haven't even gotten to the wedding episode, so you're
Yeah, we'll
a
get
ways
there when we
away.
get there.
All right.
Anyways. So yeah, go ahead and
Anyway.
talk about the other shows that you watched.
So the other shows I watched, I'll talk about the short one real quick here. Ironheart on Disney Plus. I had forgotten that this was still a thing. I had forgotten that this was coming out uh last month.
I think
And they
Disney
did a
Plus did
terrible
too. I think Disney Plus did too because they have not marketed this thing at all.
they have not marketed this thing. They just put it out there quietly and be like, okay, like this is out there. This is it. This
Yep.
is technically also the close of whatever phase this is right now. I think phase 5 that they're in. Um, to be like, okay, like we had our well, no. Yes, this is the close because Fantastic Four, which comes out in 3 weeks, is the start of phase 6. So if you're looking at any like Wikipedia articles or anything like what are the shows and movies between phases 5, it ends with Ironheart on Disney Plus. And what they did here compared to the other shows on Disney Plus is that they made it shorter. It's only 6 episodes. It's not 10. So you get 2 hours of your life back. But in doing so, I think they actually made a more concise story and it benefited from it. I think this 6 episode structure is kind of what this whole like Marvel Disney Plus shows should have been from the start, except for WandaVision, because that had a specific vision for 10 episodes and it took it and ran with it and I loved it. But everything else from it, like since then, it felt more like homework with these 10 episode seasons. Especially like Miss Marvel, especially Daredevil, Born Again. That some of these episodes it felt like it didn't progress the story that much further. It felt like a couple of them could have been condensed down into them. So to have a 6 episode series from Ironheart means it got rid of a lot of that and it focused solely on the character, solely what makes the character great, solely invested in why you should care about this character and how they built up their own like super power, well, Ironheart super suit. It does a really good job of introducing characters, getting immediately to the point to where you know who they are, why they're here, what is their connection to the MCU. Because a lot of the characters in here are connected to other projects through like legacy, and that's one of the main things of Ironheart is the legacy, the connections to other sprawling adventures. But keeping it short, keeping it concise, keeping it well contained benefited this show. It's was refreshing. It was quick. I got in, I got out. I knew everything that these characters needed to do. At no point was I like, okay, but why exactly are we here? Which was a big problem with Agatha all along.
Right.
is that some of those episodes were like, okay, but why were we here? If the whole point was just to kill off one character, couldn't you have done it in the previous episode and do a 2-for-1 special? Because that being 10 episodes really felt like a couple of the episodes dragged on, didn't need to be there. Especially when you figure out what the twist ending is really early on, then you just slowly wait for them to get to that twist ending. So Ironheart cuts away with all that
Hmm.
and makes it so nice and easy to consume. Every
Good.
Disney Plus show, especially for Marvel, should follow this format. Keep it
Yes.
simple, keep it
Yeah.
concise. You don't need to have a 10 episode budget going into it. Tell your
No.
story, get in, get out. All you need to do with them is to help introduce these other characters. You
Yeah.
don't need to have these elaborate backstories where they're all connected to a bunch of people who are all not going to be around anymore. Just solely focus on your main character.
Yeah. I mean, we're a broken record here. We've been taught we talk make a variation of this argument every time we talk about a Disney Plus Marvel show.
Yes. Now, what I really liked about the show is how it incorporated science and technology versus magic and sorcery.
That's cool.
It combined two of those elements and fused them into one of like, how do you combat science and technology with a mysticism antagonist, a sorcerer antagonist? And it kind of added to that strange alchemy that was introduced back in Avengers Endgame, where you had sorcery and alchemy being thrown together. Because these aren't because the Marvel MCU is not just a single siloed only one of these anymore. There needs to be crossover, there needs to be some meshing of these worlds, and Ironheart does that in a really, really well concise way.
Yeah.
And it also introduces the AI component about it, which we are currently living in, how that can add to it of, well, AI is, at least in the MCU, can be splitting that hair between what is mysticism and what is technology. Where does one end and the other begin? Where does the
Right.
one and zero stop from being a data program into having actual feelings and actual concerns? And
Okay.
it does explore that in Ironheart.
Cool.
Really, really cool concept. Really, really well done. I like the characters that they introduce here. I actually liked Ironheart in here more so than when she appeared in Wakanda Forever. So I
Oh,
think they actually
okay.
did this story right and really, really great. It just sucks that it took 3 years since Wakanda Forever to actually get this to come out.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. All right. Yeah, sounds cool for the people who are kind of interested in that juxtaposition because that's unique in the Marvel canon, at least the current
Mhm.
Marvel Studios one.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. But
All right.
now we got to talk about the last thing here. And well, while it's not the last of this franchise, it's the last of this series.
Okay.
Squid Game season 3 has officially wrapped up. And it walked so Squid Game US could run. I'm sorry, that's Mr. Beast Games could fall to its pit.
Gross.
It is. But we're not talking about that guy. We're talking about Squid Game here and how they wrapped up season 3 coming off of season 2. If you were way back when we talked about season 2, I didn't like how it ended on a cliffhanger. I thought that if they were going to do this, they should have at least kind of like explored more of the dichotomy between your two main characters and your protagonist and antagonist here. Coming off of season 2, going straight into season 3, where it picks up right off, you have a completely changed main character in 4, 5, 6. You have a completely changed cast that, because we know a lot of these players will die in order to get to the end, I still don't feel that big of a connection to them, even though they try and build the connection all through season 2. And then season 3, like in the first 2 episodes, all right, we have too many players here. We got to wipe it down to 25. Rest of you, gone, done. It felt like very sudden, like, okay, so why did you save them or did you kill them off like an episode or two into this? Like,
Hmm.
were they really that important to progress for 2 more episodes? And it didn't really feel like it, just to like, it's more just to like have more players that they could kill off. It's like, oh, we're not gonna die in season two, but you will die in season three because you ain't the main character.
Fair enough.
There that being said, there is one. I don't know if it's really a gripe or anything, but spoilers for season three of Squid Game. There's a child born in the middle of the games.
Okay.
All throughout season two, they mentioned that she is pregnant. Like that's a known fact into it.
Yeah.
They never say how long, far along she is being pregnant. They never say that she's not really like showing like, oh, here I am, 9 months pregnant, ready to give birth. It seems like it comes out of nowhere, and it's be like,
Hmm.
well, we need to give her, she needs to have birth now in the middle of the games because that'll like drive up the tension, and then we'll have this kid in here that'll drive up the tension,
Hmm.
and it took me out of it because that part, aside from everything else about the killing and deathmatch and whatever have you, that specific part took me out of be like, okay, I see what you're trying to say here, in that it feels like everyone who is not rich and wealthy born into a Squid Game in life. You just happen to
Hmm.
be born into the actual Squid Games here, where you feel like the deck is stacked against you. And I get that's what they're trying to say here.
Yeah.
Just have like an actual physical baby, newly born, hours old, participate in these games.
That's weird. Yeah, very weird.
Yeah, yes. Puts it at that really weird, over the top, being like, okay, now you're really like delving plot armor here because as an audience, I think you're supposed to have the heightened sense of, well, surely they wouldn't kill a baby, right?
Yeah.
Surely they wouldn't murder a child for an extra 100,000 won, right? Right? But I guess that's the only way they could actually go to raise actual stakes after everything they've already done in order to make it feel different, in order to raise that tension, is to have someone who's not here of their own free willing choice, which is a main plot of the game. You know, you're here because you chose to be here. They equaling because you're choosing to continue the games, and to have someone who's not here of robbed of that choice. But you know, if you kill them, then hey, that's more money for me. And what is one life?
Yeah.
100,000 won.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're literally putting a price tag on a 1 day old child. Come to it.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately that's where the Squid Game is trying to get to in its message, taking 3 whole seasons to get there. That even if you're born, unless you're born into a super wealthy, like elite class, you have the potential to always end up in this Squid Game, whether it's from life, whether it's from debt, whether it's from class, whether it's from inherited debt, whether it's from
Mm.
just being born at the wrong place at the wrong time, that there's no way out of it except through death as an escapism, or having someone, a literal billionaire, because that's who 456 is at this time, help you along the way. And I think it kind of skirts that message right there,
Yeah.
uh, to try and end this, to try and end season three and tell its story. That the game doesn't end because of the game master, it ends when the wealthy stop the games. But then it says, hey, we may stop it here, but there's games in the US we could do. And that's where it leaves off with saying, hey, we know we're going to end it here with this story, but that doesn't mean we're going to completely end Squid Game because it's too much of a cash cow for Netflix. And we're going to, as they already talked about, doing a Squid Game US series. Not like actual competition, but like the TV series.
Mm.
Although, don't be surprised if they do an actual Squid Game US series, just because they already did a virtual series in Fortnite. That's right. Who cares if your virtual character dies? It's not like they're real, right? Right.
Right?
Right.
Right? Right?
There is no extra life in life.
No, there isn't.
But yeah, that's
Yeah,
Squid
that's
Game season
still
3.
not my thing, but yeah, people love it.
Yeah, still not your thing, but it's still childhood games coming to kill you.
Oh God.
All
Anyway.
right. Have you watched anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've started some stuff, but some of it's old, so we don't really need to talk about it. So we can continue and wrap this thing up.
All right, let's keep going.
All right, that brings us to cancellations and renewals.
What am I no longer watching?
You're no longer watching Grosse Point Garden Society on NBC as they have canceled that after one season.
Sorry, Melissa Fumero.
Yep, sorry. The ABC has canceled Doctor Odyssey after one season, so have to get your cruise ship Doctor hijinks somewhere else.
Unless it gets become the Netflix original, which did not look likely.
No. Speaking of Netflix, Netflix has canceled The Residence after one season. This was another one of their attempts at a Knives Out style murder
Murder
mystery.
mystery,
This time at
yes.
the White House. We watched the pilot and we have not returned. Let's just put it that way. I was not
All right.
impressed. Netflix has also canceled Pulse after one season. Then some renewals. Hey, guess what? The zombie show that keeps coming back is coming back again. The Comeback continues to be honest with its name and is coming back for a third season. It will be its last, according to HBO right now. No guarantees. We can't make any of those. The first season, by the way, was way back in 2005, 20 years ago. The second season was in 2014, over 10 years ago. And it will debut in 2026. That's a fun
So you
one.
know what that means? 2037, comeback season 4.
Maybe so. ABC, of
Assuming Lisa
course, will be.
Kudrow still wants to
Yes.
make this.
Yeah, Lisa Kudrow. It's up to her. ABC is, of course, bringing back The Bachelor for yet another season. It will be its 30 years of Bachelor, folks. Netflix will
Not
bring.
30 years, 30th
No, but 30
rendition,
seasons.
30 seasons.
Oh, we're getting there,
Uh,
though.
yeah, the showrunner for Bachelor in Paradise will now take over for this
Yes.
upcoming season.
I think that's a good move, personally, as somebody who watches that show. Tires on Netflix will get a third season. FX's The Bear will confirmed get a fifth season, so it ain't over after
I
this.
will get your take on what a fifth season will look like
Okay,
when you complete it,
got it. We'll get there. And Apple TV Plus will bring back Slow Horses for a seventh season.
because apparently they're so slow they still haven't crossed the
They're
finish line.
still around, turns out. All right, we have a couple deaths we need to talk about real briefly. First up, Michael Madsen, age 67, of course, an actor in Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill. You have Bill here, which is very funny. And Donnie
Yes.
Brasco, among many other roles, a legend of the screen, a memorable character whenever he shows up. Definitely a loss there.
Mhm.
We also had Julian McMahon, age 56, was an actor in Nip Tuck, Fantastic Four, and FBI Most Wanted, among other roles.
It was the Doctor Doom in those 2004 Fantastic Four
Ah,
movies.
got it. I did not see those. All right, let's move on to the last segment of the show, which is movies, and we start with the weekend box office numbers. We have 2 weeks of catch up to do here, so bear with us. 2 weeks ago, the number one movie was F1, the movie, with $57 million in its debut. You won that poll.
Oh,
I
dads
bet
came out.
I bet on
Dads came out for
Megan.
a victory for me.
The dads did come out in droves. Who knew?
Plus, still one behind you, though.
Yeah, that's fair. Number two was How to Train Your Dragon with $19 million. That's hit 200 global domestic though. That's pretty good. Number three, Elio hanging in there, $10 million in its second week. That's $41 million domestic. That is not doing well. Number four, Megan 2.0 debuted to just $10 million. And rounding out your top five, 28 years later with another 9.7. That brings it to 50. This past weekend, the extra long weekend with July 4th numbers, your number one movie, of course, we didn't need a poll for this, was Jurassic World Rebirth, which debuted to $91 million, dollars, notably $147 million dollars total for the entire weekend. Guessing 91 was for just Friday through
Just for the
Sunday.
3 days,
Yeah.
147 because it came out on the
Yeah,
Wednesday,
yeah, the
the
Wednesday,
third. Yeah.
Thursday kind of thing. Um, Also notable, Jurassic World Rebirth had a big global launch as well, setting a record. I saw what was it, $321 million dollars or something worldwide.
Yep. And
So,
with that number, Scarlett Johansson became the number
yes,
one actor with the highest box office number.
indeed. All right, number two this past week was F1 the movie coming in at $26 million dollars this week. That's at 109. Number three, How to Train Your Dragon, $11 million dollars. Pretty consistent work here. That's 224. Elio's number four, $5.7 million dollars. It's dropping off quick. And number five, 28 years later, this time with $4.6 million, dollars, also dropping very quickly.
And dropping out of that top five is Megan 2.0, coming
Yes.
at number six.
Right. Unfortunate. I do plan on still hopefully seeing that. I don't know when at this point. Movies, theaters are getting taken over because another huge summer release is on its way this weekend. It is, of course, time for the big S himself. It's Superman, James Gunn's reboot of the series and hopefully reboot of the entire DC universe in as a result. That is your big release this week. What number do we pick? It is your turn to pick a number.
All right. I saw a headline today somewhere between 90 and 110. So
Okay.
will it hit triple digits?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
I booked my tickets today to see
Cool.
it, so I will be talking about this next time in the podcast. So I want to do we want to just put it at 100 or do you want to be gutsy and go 110?
No, let's. I think 100 is safe. Now, do you do the over or the under?
I have faith on the word of mouth. It's been getting some pretty good buzz. I will take the over on
Yeah.
this.
I would have if I could have, let me tell you, because I also agree. Seems like really good
All
critical
right,
praise right
let's
now.
raise it then.
Do you want to do 110
110,
then?
105,
Okay. All right. 110.
105,
Let's be
110. All right,
venturous. Let's do 110.
let's
So
do
you'll
110.
keep that over and I'll do that under. Okay.
All right.
All right. Works for me. All right. Well, that's a perfect diving board into our topic for the movie news this week, which is none other than Comic Con time. It's time for San Diego Comic Con again. It's the biggest Comic Con of the year,
Yep.
and all your nerdy companies are here representing, but they won't be skipped. Won't be in there in a certain way. So, Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Warner Brothers, who has DC, Legendary with Dune Godzilla, Sony with Spider Man, Lionsgate with John Wick, and Paramount with Star Trek are all skipping a film presence at the conference famed Hall H, the 6,500 seat venue that has traditionally served as a launchpad for major franchise announcements and the premiere of exclusive sneak peeks. This should come as no surprise with Fantastic Four releasing the same weekend, Superman already in theaters, the recent Dune, the recent wait, did I skip?
Yes, that's correct.
The recent Dune 3 announcement that it will be called just Dune Part 3, and John Wick's Ballerina released earlier this year. The only confirmed Hall H presentations for Comic Con so far: Project Hail Mary from Lord and Miller, Media Boat favorites, starring Ryan Gosling; Tron Ares, which is being scored by Nine Inch Nails, as previously reported; Predator Badlands from Dan Trachtenberg, who brought us Predator, Killer of Killers, and most notably Prey, the television movie; and the resuscitated film by fans film Coyote versus Acme. So, yeah, just this isn't really big news, is it? You kind of tricked me there. This is just
The
yeah, there
big
won't,
news is that no one's showing up.
or at least they won't be like being a huge presence there. They won't be making big, big, big earth-shattering announcements like they have sometimes in the past.
Mhm. Well, especially last year with Marvel, where they brought out Robert Downey Jr. to make the
Hmm.
announcement for Avengers Doomsday, the retitled from Kang Dynasty. This doesn't come as a surprise from Marvel Studios because after the Fantastic Four comes out in theaters, their next projects are Disney TV Plus shows,
Yeah.
including Marvel Zombies and Wonder Man, as well as the Eyes of Wakanda, the animated series. Um, from there, the next film from Marvel Studios is Avengers Doomsday. They got pushed from May to December
Mm.
2026. Sony with Spider-Man could have made an appearance because that film is still scheduled for July 2026, as well as whenever Beyond the Spider-Verse wants to come out. That they could have made a presence here and be a Spider-Man heavy, but they decided to opt out and skip it.
Right.
Legendary, like we said, Dune has not started filming yet. The next Godzilla installment is going to be on Apple TV Plus, as they already announced. The continuation of those series, Warner Brothers and DC. Superman just released. They won't have official box numbers yet, but the plan for the DC universe will hinge on how well does Superman do.
It's
Do
true.
they want to greenlight the rest of what James Gunn has planned? They have given him the keys, but now he's got to deliver and drive that money to the bank. And if that truck isn't as full as they want it to be, they may be pulling back to the drawing board. So they don't want to come out and make a big splash, only to pull it back several months later. Yeah, and then Star Trek from Paramount, nothing big. Lionsgate's got nothing big unless you want to count the next installment in the Hunger Games series, but they're still filming that, so not much to show. That will still be a next year film. They could have something to show, but since they're shooting, they don't want to can't pull the actors to go run press
Mm.
here and then send them back for a weekend. So a lot of this is in flux. But you know
Yeah.
what that means. Get your hinds out, get your bottles ready, because ketchup is there to save the day with Coyote versus Acme.
Yep, that's true. Catch up.
They get
Get
the
the
6,500 seat venue, and
yep.
hopefully they can sell it out. I mean,
Hopefully.
they don't have a whole lot of competition. Probably Lord Miller from Project Hail Mary,
Yeah,
which is
that'll do
from the
it.
same writer who did The Martian,
Mm. Hmm.
same novelist, and then he also wrote it at the screenplay. And then Tron Ares, which is going to have the score going for it, and not necessarily the actors, because lest we forget, Jared Leto is still starring in this thing.
Yeah. Let's start try to ignore that.
Oh yes, we'll ignore it until he throws his big ass head in front of it,
Right.
slapping on all the posters. All right, but yeah, this will just
Anyway.
be a very light year, which means come next year, expect a big party.
Yes.
Everyone's
Yes.
going to want to haul next year.
Probably right. All right. Well, that'll do it for movie news. Oh man. So we both watched a movie. Yes, I watched this too, this
Oh
week.
yes, thank you.
But because of time, we cannot have the conversation I wish we could have about this movie because we could go probably pretty long talking
Oh,
about
you
this
don't want to have
movie.
the 20-minute conversation now?
No, we don't have time.
All
But
right.
what I will do, my strategy here is I want to hear your take on this movie, and then I will try to be brief in my response.
All right. Here's my 5-word response.
Okay.
Don't bet against Ryan Coogler.
Absolutely.
Also, don't bet against Michael B. Jordan.
Oh yeah, that's a given.
Put them together. Don't bet against it. This thing was amazing. This thing was shot perfectly. The way it's not just shot, but also scored and mixes well with everything. This thing was a full project from beginning to end. It's not like where most movies can come in and do some ADRing, do some fixing, do some tweaking in the post and edit room. This was a full-fledged, thoughtful vision from page to screen.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Put this up for Oscars for editing. Put this up for Oscars for sound. Put Michael B. Jordan up for Oscars on this because he's played not one but two different characters in this thing
Mhm.
and knocks it out the park for both of them. It's fresh in its original story. It's fresh in its way it blends music. It's fresh in its script. It is an amazing feat of confidence with that, especially with that one scene, the really long take going through that going through the hole, the
Uh,
barn or whatever. The juke, as they call it.
yes.
That was a crazy, trippy scene, and the way that was choreographed and put together, months of planning for a perfect execution.
Yeah. 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 No, yeah, you're right on all counts. It's a very impressive movie. It works on multiple layers. The performances are all stellar. It's well paced. Especially, it starts as like, oh, you're kind of thinking like, oh, we're getting that horror movie build up, and then you're worried, oh, well, when the action starts, this is all gonna like this is gonna get worse. But they somehow maintain the tension even once you get to know all the characters and know all the rules. And then it goes until the end where you keep guessing about what's going to happen to these characters. What are all their fates? And you care because you like them.
Mhm.
It's like really well written. I like how many metaphors are at play here. I like how it has commentary on all sorts of different things. You can look at it framed in race. You could look at it framed in religion. You could look at it framed in found family narrative. You could look at it all sorts of ways. There's so many layers you can peel back on this thing, and as it goes, it just reinforces that stuff more and more. Like you think it's going to be one thing, and then it's something else, and then it's something else, and then it's something else, and then it's something else. And stay past the credits. The two endings are the actual endings that you have to wait until some credits have rolled to see them. HBO Max will try to minimize that window. Go right back in there. Trust me on this because you do not want to miss the ends of it. And also, surprise, it's kind of a musical. Christy and I were talking about, like, oh man, are we like 10, 15 years away from this being a Broadway hit? Because I could totally see it.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
could totally see it. A horror Broadway thing, not since Sweeney Todd have we had something like that. I think it could be a big hit.
Are you not going to count
Um,
Hades Town in that?
no, it's not really a horror thing.
It's I guess more of a love story.
Elements. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic movie. Like you said, yes, give Ryan Coogler all the flowers for this one. He continues to make fresh, well-made, really like just amazing looking, amazing feeling, amazing sounding films. Just keep giving him money. Keep letting him make these passion projects because this thing, if there's any indication of the kind of stuff that he can make, just keep letting him do it.
Yep. You can't put him in a box. He's done horror.
No,
He's done drama. He's done action. He's can do it all.
he can do it all. It's true.
All right. And
All right,
we
cool.
can do more of these later because we've already
Yes.
gone at this for at least an hour
Yes.
40.
Yeah, so that's a good time to get out of here. Thank you for listening to the Media Boat podcast this week. We'll be back next week for another episode. In the meantime, if you want to see the video versions of our podcast, that's on YouTube. Search YouTube for Media Boat Podcast and you'll find our channel. Like, subscribe. We've got a little bump in our analytics the last week, I noticed. We are up a handful of subscribers, so thank you for subscribing. We passed 50. So congratulations to us. In the meantime, we are also in audio form on podcast services. Just search your podcast service of choice for Media Boat Podcast to find us. You can also find us on twitch.tv/MediaBoat playing video games. Like you said, you might be streaming some Jusant and doing some climbing. So you got that coming. We're on social media platforms like Blue Sky. Search MediaBoat to find our channel or our page there. MediaBoatPodcast.com is our website. And last but not least, if you want to get a full look inside behind the scenes, if you're curious about anything, if you want to ask us some questions, you can do that. You can email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com and we will answer your emails on the show. We haven't had one in a long time, folks. Come on, send those emails in. All right. we will see you guys next week for
Yeah.
more.
Be back next week. More news, more thoughts, maybe the bear,
Maybe.
and more of us. All right, bye.
All right, bye.